welcome back. Today on the channel we're going to be reviewing the Harbor Freight 134 automotive refrigerant gauges here. You've seen it before here on this channel where I talked about all the tools you needed for air conditioning, and I briefly talked about these gauges. Well, now we're going to review it. I've owned them for a long time now, so now we're going to dig into them and see if they're worth your money or not. Now first off, I want to say that I'm not being sponsored by anybody, alright? I bought this with my own money. I used my 20% off coupon to get these, and these are on sale. I had a air conditioning job that came in, so I needed a set of gauges. Alright, this is a long time ago when I was first getting started doing this kind of work, and my dad had bought a set of these gauges a while back and it did work. Now I'm going to say this, these do work. Alright, not for long, but they do work. I think I used these gauges a total of about 2 times before the seals went bad. And mainly the seals go bad in here, so we're in these fittings. Alright guys, we're going to do a little experiment here. As you can see on my left side we have the yellow jacket gauges, and on the right we have the Harbor Freight gauges. Now all of the gauges are at 0 or pretty close to it. 0. And I also have my 134A adapters attached to the yellow jacket gauges. We have the yellow line here that is connected, as you can see, to the vacuum pump. It's plugged in, ready to go, and what we're going to do is we're going to perform a vacuum test. I'm going to vacuum down these gauges and shut the valves off and see if it holds. Now this is one good way to test to see if your gauges are leaking or not, or if they're a problem. I do this every now and then to make sure that these gauges are still good, and they have so far haven't let me down yet. So we're going to go ahead and turn it on. I've already opened the valves open so I can work the camera and turn it on at the same time, but that way you guys can watch it, the needle go down as I turn the vacuum pump on. So turn the valve and open the valve, and there she goes. Once it gets down a little bit, I'll shut it off. Okay, and there we go, got it shut off. I'll turn the pump off, and as you can see, now if I would have ran longer it would have gone down to 30, but it's actually pretty darn close. Now you can see it's just sitting there holding. That's good. And there's a reason why I did these gauges first, because I want to show you that when we get done testing this one will still be ready to go. We'll still be holding vacuum. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that line off, as you can see. Okay, and she's still holding. Alright, that means it's all good sealed, so I'm going to put this line over here. And I got to put the fitting on, and then we'll be able to test these gauges. Okay, we got the Harbor Freight gauges hooked up, so just so you can see that it really is hooked up. There is the line that goes to the vacuum pump for the Harbor Freight gauges. Everything is at 0. So I've already got the valves open. As you can see, opens that way. It is good and all the way open. So I'm going to turn the vacuum pump on, open the valve, and we'll see what happens. So here we go. And as you can see, nothing happening at all. Alright, see if I can play with this a little bit. Now beforehand I was able to test these things correctly, or test them, but as you can see they're not doing anything. See if these valves make any difference. Having them closed, probably not. But it is not doing anything. Very disappointing. Alright, shut the pump off. Alright, as you can see our other gauges are still over here holding, which is good, very good. This is also one of the ways you test for leaks on a car. When you vacuum it down for so long, you shut these valves off and see if it holds. If it's holding like that, that means there's no leaks. Now eventually it will come back, work its way back, but if it can sit here for about 20-30 minutes and hasn't moved an ounce. Now there is a little normal settling. These needles will kind of settle a little bit, but they won't move that much. But if it ain't moving, then it's good, and you know you don't have a leak. This is what you do, test your system before you put Freon on it. But anyway, as you can see, the Harbor Freight gauges did not work out as good. Didn't do a darn thing. So there you go, live test. Here, let's talk about what comes with the gauge set. As you can see here, we got a nice plastic case that comes with it. Comes with the instructions and all the goodie caps, the cap off everything. Now, I guess the ideal is that when you're done doing the air conditioning that you take the lines back off. Now for me, I just left it together because I didn't want to keep damaging the seals, O-rings that are in there, taking them on and off. But anyway, now these things are already set up for 134A. These are the quick disconnects you get for 134A. You get your low and your high side, different size fittings. And this is what I do like. I'm going to leave that off. This is what I do like about this, is that I can leave these on here and put them block on there. So that was a pretty cool thing. And overall, these things do work. I've actually used these things two times on cars, and got, you know, everything worked out a-okay. Worked great. What happened after that? Well, I'm not sure, and I have watched other YouTuber videos about this. There's not too many review products. I found one guy out there that had the exact same problem I did, and I know other people have had the same problem with these manifold gauge sets. But what happens is somehow they start leaking inside here or this fitting. And how I noticed it was when I was vacuuming down a system, I noticed that it wasn't holding. Usually what you do is you'll vacuum it down. You'll try to get it down to 30 below. Now some of you guys say it's impossible to get it down to 30 below, which is kind of true, but if you have a high performance vacuum pump, it'll suck it down there, trust me. But anyway, what you'll do is you'll suck it all down, vacuum it down, and then you'll close your valve. You can see these close, and then you let it sit there and hold. Well, what happened was these things would just slowly crawl back up to zero. Now that normally would indicate that you have a leak in the system, all right? And knowing that I had changed every seal, every O-ring, everything in this system, I've realized there's got to be a problem. There's no way there could be a leak. And you know, even after going back and checking some of the seals, redoing some of them and doing all of them, it still leaked, didn't change. So what I did was I got another set of gauges. I used my dad's set of gauges, which is the same Harbor Freight gauges. And his actually worked this one time because he had only used it just once, I think. And it worked, and that told me that these gauges had a problem. They leaked. Now I could have probably fixed this, put some kind of sealant or something and make it, you know, but instead, as you can see over there, I went out and bought some new gauges. We'll talk about those in a minute, but mainly we're talking about the Harbor Freight gauges here. Now once after that, I've never used these gauges ever again because, well, let's face it, if they're going to leak, they're not going to work for you, so they're no good in my opinion. Now, did I spend a lot of money on this? No, really. I spent about 40-50 bucks on this, and yes, that is a lot of money. But now I wish I would have spent it on those over there. Now those are my yellow jacket gauges. As you can see, they're much better quality, and I've used these for years. After I had actually made some money, I did make some money repairing air conditioning using these gauges, enough money to save up to go buy this. This is about a little over $100. I know, Cliff, you're going, oh, that's expensive. But you know what? There's some things you just got to do when you know, for some tools. You know, Harbor Freight has some really good tools out there, but some of them are really junky. And I hate to say it, but this is one of them. This has potential of being good. It really does. But apparently they have some problems with the seals just not lasting very long after you buy them or put them together. So Harbor Freight, if you're listening, you need to improve this. Seriously, improve this. I mean, I think you almost have a winner here, but it's no good if someone comes back, you know, 3 or 4 months later and the darn thing leaks and they haven't done anything with it. So that's kind of irritating that, you know, if it lasted about 3 or 4 years, I would have thought I got my good money's worth. Instead, this thing lasted about maybe, I don't know, 6 months. You know, I did 2 jobs with it. And after that, no bueno. So definitely, I would not recommend these gauges unless you were doing a one-time job. If you're going to do this job one time and never use them again, these are the gauges for you. Let's put it that way. But if you plan on making money, you know, doing other people's air conditions, or just, you know, doing multiple of your cars over a period of time, this is one of those instances where I'm going to recommend go buy a better quality tool. Now, you also notice that when you buy another set like these yellow jackets, but they don't come with the 134A adapters, you have to buy them. They're not very expensive, and I got these off Amazon, and these are very good quality. I think all in all I spent $120 for those two fittings and that. And guys, it's been well worth it. I've used these on at least 6 or 7 cars and no problems. Now the other problem with these gauges is I want you to notice that these fittings that you see on here are not the same fittings that are for regular refrigerant. Alright, they look like they're the same, but they're not. In fact, let's go over to my vacuum pump over here. You notice here I have a fitting on, let's see if I can get this, if it'll come off, there we go. Another fitting, adapter fitting on this. Now this is made for those gauges over there, for the different fitting. You can see that it's actually a little bit bigger set there. But this is one of the downsides of this if you're going to use a regular pump. Now if you probably get the pump from Harbor Freight, you probably don't have to worry about this at all. But this is, you know, for like doing residential or whatever. This is really one of those high dollar, you know, 6 CFM pumps right here. They do a really good job that I got for a really good deal. The only problem is if you want to use the Harbor Freight gauges to this, you have to buy a special fitting. You can get this from Amazon. It doesn't really cost a lot, but it's the idea that you have to go buy fittings because these fittings on here are not standard. In fact, I couldn't put those cords on this, or I couldn't put those over there, vice versa. So that is a little bit of another downside, in my opinion, because I have done residential and automotive air conditioning, and really it'd be nice if these were all the same sizes, so you know, wouldn't have to buy all these adapter fittings, because I had to go buy a tank adapter fitting too for this. So it's all kinds of fuzzes. Now for this one, I think it fits on the tank, will fit right on it, but for those I have to get a tank fitting for that. So a lot of different fittings I have to have for all this stuff. Now I'm going to go ahead and close off here because there's really not much else to say about these gauges. I mean, they're definitely affordable. They do work, just don't last very long at all. And that's about all I can say with them. But if you plan on just doing one car, just to get it by, you know, then these gauges will work and they will do what they say, but they will not last. They're just not quality and not lasting, which is a shame because I like this setup. I like the way how this is all connected to this, and I wish I had something on that setup because I have to take those off every time because I keep everything closed up on here because I don't want dirt or grime or anything getting inside those lines that can get into the system, an AC system. But I like how this is set up. I do like this, how it's set up. That's one of the few things I'm going to point out about this gauge set. I like how it just all clips back on, and then I could hang it up over there on my rack, and it's all done. That is about the only thing I like about it. If it would have lasted a little bit longer, I would be telling you guys this thing was well worth the money. But in my opinion, I'm going to say it's not worth the money. It's just not good for repeatable uses. So now totally this is going to be up to you whether you buy this or not. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I'm just telling you my expenses. I'm giving my recommendations. You take with it what you want and go. All right. And if you, like I said, one-time use, great. If you want multiple, buy quality tools. There's just sometimes you have to go down and buy quality tools. I don't buy everything from Harbor Freight, but when I do, you know, I buy some. I make sure I do my reviews and, you know, do my checks and check reviews and make sure that they are good. And so at least I know that I'm not the only one with this issue. But if you're looking to buy this, be aware of this and make your own decision. All right, guys, I think we're going to end this video here. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up my review for the Harbor Freight 134A Manifold Gauge Set. I think I spoke my piece on this thing. And like I said, there are some good things at Harbor Freight and some not so good things. And this happens just to be one of those not so good things. I believe every other video that I've ever reviewed for Harbor Freight have usually been pretty positive. This one's on the slight negative side. So before you go out and spin your good hard-on cash, I would recommend looking into a better quality set of gauges if you like having good tools. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, you guys stay safe out there. And I hope you'll watch this